Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Set the Record Straight, a holiday novella by Bonam-Young, narrated by Lori Prince and Jenn Lee. 1. Clara, November 15th. The rain ricochets off the sidewalk and raps on my umbrella, the sound like a drumline tapping on a single snare. There's a distant honk, some nearby yelling, splashing of tires, all the sounds that remind me of how much I missed Toronto. 5 months away managed to simultaneously feel like 5 minutes and 5 years. It's bitterly cold today, but not even that can stop the smile on my face or the pep in my step as I walk towards the gallery. I switch the umbrella from one hand to the other, then back again, the anticipatory energy building up in my chest and expanding its way out in movement as it so often does. I knew, while finishing my graduate degree in the spring, that Loretta Stoll's gallery, debutante, only hired one new candidate per year. I also knew that they only took applicants in the winter season following a successful fall run. And if it wasn't so successful, they didn't take them at all. But I refused to work anywhere else but for my idol. So, I took the risk. I had some other offers, sure. I impressed my professors, shook the right hands, and got the interviews lined up, just in case. I just wanted more. I wanted Loretta, a world-famous high-concept photographer with an almost 40-year career that I envy. And while most of my fellow graduates are now shooting weddings for their third Ashley and Brad of the month, reminding kids to remove their fingers from their noses, or posing models in a way that makes their bones sharper, I'm here. My roommates, Leah and Jenn, haven't been shy about admitting that they see this gig as a major downgrade, being that it'll be mostly scheduling meetings and coffee runs. But I don't agree. Not at all. Because watching this gallery operate, being a part of that, it's one step closer to having the career I want. Loretta's career, to be exact. And this exact job 40-odd years ago, working for her idol, is how Loretta Stoll got her start. That's probably why she has hundreds of applicants every year. Call it prideful, because it is. But I knew I'd get it. I'm damn good at what I do. And this is what I've been working towards since my 17th birthday. I had come downstairs to a stack of pancakes, a tender note from my mom, who'd left for her shift at the ER already, and a gift sitting next to my father's plate, a neatly tied red ribbon around an emerald green box. My first camera. I ran outside immediately, with it clasped in 2 fists. Time slowed as I brought it to the apple of my cheek, looked through the lens, and clicked the shutter without a single thought of composition, angle, or perspective. But even still, I was flooded with pride when I looked at that small playback screen. It was a photo only I could have taken, not because of skill, that would come later, but because I was the only one in that exact place at that exact time. The tree was blown by the wind in a way that would never be again. A moment so entirely unique that it would have disappeared forever if not captured by a 17-year-old girl in her cheap entry-level Canon. Pure magic. From the second I heard the first click, I was hooked, enraptured by the idea of collecting unique moments in time, hoarding stills, poses, and views only I was present for. I went from Clara, the fairy-sized girl from the middle of nowhere set to attend school for nursing like her mother and aunts all did, to Clara, the one who constantly had a camera around her neck. Convincing my parents to let me apply for an undergrad in image arts wasn't as hard as you may expect, considering they were both working-class, no-bullshit folks from farm country. I think they were just happy to see their only child finally passionate about something. For most of my life, prior to that point, I'd have considered my parents worried about me. I was one of the rare unicorn little girls who was diagnosed with ADHD early, mostly because my mother fought every doctor that said I didn't show the classic signs, aka I didn't have a penis, and won. The medication kept me pretty listless. The doctors were aiming for me to be more go with the flow, but I landed somewhere around lazy river. My parents tried all sorts of things, different motivators, medications, diets. But ultimately, I wasn't a bad kid, and I think they eventually just learned to let me be. I did my homework most of the time, had a few friends, got decent grades, kept a clean room, and didn't really talk back. But they never stopped encouraging me to find something that ignited a fire in my belly, like my mom with medicine and my dad with growing crops. So when they, in perhaps a last-ditch effort, gave me yet another hobby that I could hyperfixate on for a week or two, then quickly drop, I doubt they were expecting it to stick. But it did, and they were thrilled. My dad came home with a nicer camera 3 months later. My mom would set up bowls of fruit while packing her work lunch at 4 a.m. just because it gave me something new to photograph. And when I turned 18, got into the university I wanted and got off those meds, mostly because I kept forgetting to go to the pharmacy, the world opened up. Literally. It felt like I had been wearing 2D glasses at a 3D movie. Suddenly, my photography got better, I was happier, and, this could be unrelated, I finally got boobs. 8 years and $30,000 in student loans later, here I am, crossing the street towards the debutante gallery. First day as the assistant to Loretta Stoll. She was one of my third-year professors during my undergraduate degree, but my obsession with her started far earlier than that. Leah and Jenn, who I live with now and met in that class, hated me at first. I couldn't stop listing off Loretta's many accolades to them and anyone else who would listen. But the joke's on Leah, Jenn, and all of those other students who called me, often affectionately, a kiss-ass. Because it paid off. I'm here. I fix the lapel of my beige trench coat, fold and tap my umbrella under the gallery's awning, and take a deep breath. I encapsulate the moment as I normally would with my trusty Lumix S5, then push open the chic 2-story glass door towards my new beginning.
2. Evan. I swear to God, the moment Remembrance Day is over, the kids only have one thing on their minds. I've helped sew more fucking pom-poms onto red velvet hats today than a real-life elf ever could. I do love my job. Promise. Before I even attended teachers' college, I knew I wanted to work exclusively with teenagers with learning disabilities. But it's still teaching. 20 kids with me and occasionally an assistant, if I'm lucky, depending on the class list. However, this year's class is probably my favorite in the past 4 years. I know, I shouldn't say that, but it's the truth. They're a good bunch. They tolerate me. Their families are mostly cooperative and engaged. And they've got more entertaining gossip than elderly church ladies at a luncheon. And that's a lot of good gossip. The passive-aggressive kind, too, which was my personal favorite to eavesdrop on. Oh, sweet Candace. You know Candace, right? Laura's daughter. Yes, bless her heart. Poor thing has gone and gotten herself knocked up. I know. Heaven bless her. We should keep her and her family in our prayers, especially the father, whoever he is. You know, this group has those old biddies from my hometown beat. Especially Talia, the firecracker 16-year-old who's been in my class now for 3 years, and her boyfriend, Jacob. They both have Down syndrome, and they're also, hands down, the cattiest people I've ever met. I love it. They come to my desk every day during their lunch to talk shit about the other students. And they do it loudly, too. They don't give a flying fuck who hears them rattling off about how so-and-so totally dyed their hair because so-and-so did first. Or how Logan has a crush on Serena, but Serena likes Keisha. And henceforth. I have to attempt to be professional and shut down the conversations most days. But it's truly one of the best parts of the job. Though I can't help but wonder whether the gossip mongers of Augustine High School know about Natalie and me. They certainly knew we were dating. One of the students caught a glimpse of my background screen once, while I was Googling something for him. He made sure everyone knew that Miss Paul and Miss Calloway were hooking up, based on the photo of us cuddling on the beach. Then they noticed when I started wearing my engagement ring this past spring. They loudly noticed. They enthusiastically noticed. And every single one of them had passed around and tried on my beautiful oval solitaire. But there have been no comments since I took it off and returned it to Natalie in September. I should have guessed they'd let me be. One of the many cool things about working alongside kids with disabilities is unlearning years of false assumptions. So often they're being judged, pitied, or granted condescending sympathy by the masses. But in reality, they're the ones who know when to talk shit and when to mind their business. When someone's hurting and needs an extra long hug. When to joke and when not to. Part of the reason I finally decided to get my formal autism diagnosis was because of these kids. They taught me to shed the shame of being different. They have the gift of true emotional intelligence, and I'm grateful for them. Especially lately, because it's been a rough couple of months. Natalie and I weren't happy for a long time. I can see that now. I felt a slow shift, sure. But what I mistook for settling in, Natalie had quietly labeled settling. What I believed to be comfortable silence, Natalie thought unbearable. I know I played a part in that. I'm not the most affectionate person. Not the most romantic, naturally. I can get easily overwhelmed, overcrowded, overstimulated. However, I do wish Natalie hadn't tried to spice things up by proposing, as she admitted when loading the last box into her truck. And maybe just talked to me. I also wish that truck wasn't driving straight to Lisa's house. Or Miss Turner, shall I call her. It's always the history teachers. The horny fuckers. You'd think they'd know what happens to people who cheat on their partners. Anne Boleyn, anyone? Now, I'm sure students catch glimpses of Natalie's lock screen, which is presumably a photo of her and Lisa together. And know some shit went down. Teenagers can be cruel, sure. But this group is merciful. And they're about the only things that have helped me trudge through these last few months. My lock screen is now my cat, Bagel. He's bread-colored beige with black and gray spots like poppy seeds. And I was really hungry when I went to the shelter. You cannot blame me. Did I adopt a cat the very day after my fiancé left me? Why, thank you so much for asking. Yes, I did. Do I regret it? A fair amount, actually, yes. Bagel likes to sandwich himself, ironically, between the wall and the back of my fridge. He gets stuck and then screams until I come home. My neighbors even called the cops once because they thought I was hurting him. That was a new low. I'd hoped from my upturned nods and grimacing smiles in passing that my neighbors would have gathered I'm not a cat murderer. But I have been told I have an extraordinarily intense resting bitch face. So maybe they presumed the worst. I was voted least approachable in my high school yearbook, which I still believe hadn't been a category the year prior. I've had only a small handful of real friends my entire life, and they're all from my hometown. And I haven't been back in a long, long time now. One of these friends, though, Clara, has recently moved to the city. Well, moved back, I suppose. She was in Toronto for university, too, but I'd been so wrapped up in Natalie since the beginning of Teachers College that I didn't really have time for friends beyond her. Plus, Clara has been busy, too, finishing her undergrad and master's degree, making a name for herself in the photography world. It's not that we had a falling out or ever decided to not be best friends anymore. It's just that we've been close since we were 9. So it's easy to sort of forget about each other until we need a familiar face, fading in and out of each other's lives like the lingering silence between songs. Just a lull, not an end. And lately, we've been talking more again. She's just landed a new job at a gallery, and it's a really big deal for her. Her eyes went as wide as saucers when she described this place over a video call last week. She was in her childhood bedroom at Daryl and Maggie's house, packing up boxes. I was in bed, eating Thai food with The Bachelorette on mute. Clara often needs someone to call her when she's completing a task, to just keep her mind off other things while she finishes what she set out to do. Which has been great. Not only to catch up, but because the nights have been really fucking lonely since Natalie left. Tonight, I'm taking her out to my favorite local spot to celebrate her first day. We haven't actually hung out in person since, God, I don't even remember. Definitely before I finished school, but I can't recall a time after that. Clara is adamant this dinner is also a toast to my newfound singleness, and that she, despite being straight, would make a fantastic wing woman to an unapproachable lesbian like myself. But that's not happening. I'll probably die alone, alongside Bagel's great-granddaughter, who will eat my face before my neighbors, who were much more eager to call before, let the police know about a weird smell and find my body. It's not that I'm some Frankenstein-looking monster. I've been hit on, occasionally. Women at bars will tell me I look just like that girl from New Girl. And I tell them that her name is Zoe Deschanel, and that she gave her daughter the middle name Otter. Otter? Who does that? That sort of kills the conversation each time. Ergo, it seems to be my personality that will keep me in perpetual singledom. Natalie was my first real love, and I let that fade off and die, entirely unaware. If I couldn't keep a peppy, well-to-do mathematics teacher from losing interest and cheating on me, there's probably zero hope for anyone else to stick around long-term. The closest thing to love I think I'll ever get again is reality TV, which is actually a not-so-guilty pleasure of mine. A therapist may use the term special interest. Regardless, I'm fascinated by how those beautiful idiots can fall in love stepping out of a limo, through a wall, or on an island. Though I suppose that the last one isn't exactly a hardship. Paradise, away from the real world and the realities of life, would probably make love easy to do. I could go for that. 4 weeks on an island. A bunch of hot people doing hot people stuff. However, my 5'8", averagely unexercised body, self-induced crisis curtain bangs, and wide-framed glasses don't exactly make me their ideal candidate. I'm fairly certain all of those women have at least 6 pairs of matching bra and underwear sets in all the same and properly fitting sizes. They also all have gym memberships and pay to have their teeth whitened and hair highlighted. All power to them. They look incredible, and I love to watch. That's just not me. Clara could be on a show like that, actually. She has a petite-toned frame and perfectly styled blonde hair. Nice teeth, too. The prettiest eyes I think I've ever seen. The twinkling kind. Like she's constantly wowed by everything around her. Oop. Been a while since I had to remind myself not to think about Clara that way. Or straight women in general, really. No, we haven't pulled that familiar reminder out since college, around the bi-curious girls, who are often bi for their boyfriends who watched a certain type of porn and wanted to see their girlfriend make out with me. For a while, and by a while I mean 7 troublesome years of my adolescence, Clara was my best friend most of the time, and sometimes consecutively, my unachievable dream girl. I'd like to chalk it up to the fact that it was a small town, that she was my closest friend, and that my little baby queer heart didn't have many options. But that'd be a lie. Clara was special, is special. She's a mosaic of a person. So many differing, unique elements that create one perfect thing. A little chaotic, and a whole lot of mess involved, but beautiful, all the same. But that doesn't change the fact that she's not interested in women. Sure, maybe a teeny lingering of a crush will always remain, because it was my first. But that's all it'll ever be, and I'm completely fine with it. Our friendship is incredibly important to me. For many reasons, but one being that Clara's my last remaining piece of home. And with that sobering thought, I get a pom-pom to the face thrown by Talia. "Miss Paul, focus up," she berates me. I grumble, reaching for my needle and thread. "Don't throw things. Watch how you talk to my girlfriend," Jacob pipes up. I shut him down with a withering stare. "Cool it, lover boy. This is still my classroom."
3. Clara. So, honestly, my first day isn't going the way I expected it to. For starters, I don't have a desk. I have a clipboard with a pen on a string and a belt clip for a phone. Apparently, Loretta likes to be able to move where the moment takes her, and desks keep creativity sitting. I should have worn more comfortable shoes. Everyone who works here is dressed like they just left a very chic funeral where they may or may not have been responsible for the wealthy deceased's life coming to an untimely end. All black, all designer, all intimidating. I'm in a brown plaid suit jacket that I thrifted and had my roommate Jenn tailor to fit me, an emerald green blouse, and ripped jeans. This shit was the look in my graduate program. Professional, aloof. I've apparently missed the trends change since leaving Toronto for 5 months, and now the look is rich, gothic vampire. I'll have to go shopping. Loretta has been pacing back and forth in an entirely glass-paneled meeting room above the main gallery space for 3 hours. It looks out over the exhibition below and is the only enclosed room I've yet to see. She's alone with nothing in her hands or on her person, except for the matches and cigarette she pulled out of her pocket at one point, which may have actually been a joint based on the faint smell wafting around the hallway. I was simply instructed to wait for her to exit the room by the previous year's assistant-turned-guest gallerist, Heather. She told me sternly that under no circumstances am I allowed to go in. If the phone rings, answer it. 2 words only. Hello, debutante. That's it. We do not ask how people are. We do not ask the reason for their call. We don't waste time, Heather said, picking lint off my shoulder. I nodded and asked where the staff bathroom was. She pointed with a limp wrist, not looking up from her phone. I've still not found it, and honestly, I'll probably never ask again. I may be in over my head here. Just as I'm about to do a lap to see if I can spot a door that vaguely resembles a bathroom entrance, Loretta stills. Like, completely stills. As if some grand maestro held his conductor's baton in midair as she was halfway through another step back towards the opposite wall. She then swiftly exits the room, throwing the door open like she doesn't know her own strength. I take a step back and almost fall as she approaches me. Loretta's 6-foot, wafer-thin frame floats towards me with black fabric ribbons off her dress drifting behind her like ink in water. Clara. She stops closer to me than I'd have expected. The corners of her eyes are wrinkled with age and affection. I breathe for the first time in at least a full minute. Hi, Loretta. Hi. It's such a pleasure to—
You were chosen, Clara, she says, interrupting me. Own that. No more thank yous or platitudes. We're colleagues now, dear.
She rolls up the sleeves of her dress, revealing the dark brown skin of her forearms, frail and thin, then pats her chin with a curled index finger.
You were the one with the obituary exhibition, yes?
Yes, I stutter, then clear my throat. Yes, I was. My senior thesis, right before graduation, was shown in the Museum of Contemporary Art not far from here. 6 photographs in which I played with light and old film reels to meld together the models' haunted expressions with the photo they thought would be used at their funeral if they'd suddenly passed.
It was excellent.
I'm sweating. I can feel it pooling above my upper lip. Thank you. She raises a brow in warning, but I ponder what I'm supposed to say if not, thank you. I know is arrogant. It performed well, is what I come up with. Pretentious as hell, but alas.
Truthfully, with all the attention the exhibition received, I didn't expect you to apply for this position.
This answer I've prepared for. I wanted to start a debutante because I truly believe it is the best gallery Toronto has to offer. Being here and assisting you will help me become a more well-rounded artist.
In what sense?
Loretta leans back, crossing her arms. I take a moment to realize that we're in the hallway, and I may be a lot more comfortable sitting at a desk right now in a private office where my new coworkers couldn't hear me totally fawning. I admire your career, the legacy you've built. I believe I need a stronger business sense and an understanding of management in order to be me. She sighs. I'm losing her. No, I say defensively, to which she cocks her head. Shit! Speak! When I found photography, I felt like a shell of a person. Oh, God, word vomit. The moment I picked up a camera, I found myself. Respectfully, Loretta, I don't want to be you. I want to have the career you've had, I want to be a success.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?